Welcome to RedBlue Labs. My name is Andrew, and in tonight's live stream, I'm going to be working in an application that I've done a ton of videos on. It's an application, Wireshark, you can see on the screen right now, that I enjoy a ton. I play around it all the time, making captures, downloading captures off the internet, and playing around in it, and just trying to learn as much as I can about this tool that really is really quite fascinating. And so the whole theme of this video tonight is around security profiles. And so when we have a security profile, it's part of Wireshark, and you can sort of custom make and uh, tailor design the user interface to make it look and be more effective and efficient for you. And I have my own profile that I used all the time. But then I was online and I saw all of these other profiles that people were making, and I was like, man, there's a ton of great profiles out there that people can put into Wireshark. So I was like, you know what? Let's connect two awesome things: Wireshark and a movie with Jason Statham called The MEG. And so they both have a shark theme, and so that's the logical connect here. And the whole premise of the movie The Meg is that it's a shark movie, but now the shark in this movie is absolutely enormous. And that's it. So tonight, I'm going to be collecting a bunch of these profiles that I've got, and then I'm going to pull out the things from these profiles that I think are great, and then add them into my own profile. So up on the screen right now, this is just a default um, Wireshark user interface. Let's take a peek at a couple of just the basic one, and this should sort of highlight some of the things that we should change to make it more uh, usable for the average person, and in this case for a cyber professional. Um, I've got some buttons here. Up in the top right, there's not much on the screen right now, but there can be buttons that we custom make, and so the default view doesn't have any buttons, and it's kind of boring. We've got some other stuff that's happening up here. There's really not much going on with the default Wireshark, okay? And it's kind of boring. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna throw in the MEG, and then we're gonna look at a little bit of the differences that we've got here. Okay, there might be a few color differences. Now in Wireshark, there's a few areas that you're going to customize, and it may not look a lot different right now, and that's okay. Uh, you're going to be changing these things here. You've got coloring rules. You've got the buttons that we have up on the top right here. They've got all kinds of interesting things that you can add to it, and we've got extra filters that we can actually add in our sort of like our saved bookmark type of zone here. So I've really enjoyed having the buttons here, and it's super efficient. And so what I'm gonna do first is show you what I've got already in the MEG, and then sort of highlight two or three profiles that I have from that I've already collected. I've maybe done it with three, and a couple of them are really good, and I've gleaned some really good stuff from those profiles over into the MEG. So let's zoom in, and I'll show you the big thing that I've added that has been a huge boost. It is adding these buttons to my Wireshark user interface. And so right on the screen, I got the packets here in the list pane. This is actually a botnet traffic that I downloaded off the internet, and I've been using it to test, to find and just learn about botnets and what they look like inside of network traffic. And so I've got some buttons here that are actually quite helpful in networking. And I harp on this in class, but I talk about the OSI layers a ton. And so one thing I've noticed between a bunch of different security profiles is that they'll have like special buttons for different kind of display filters that they want to do, but none of them were organized yet, from what I've seen, based on the layer that that protocol will show up. Because there's a lot of buttons that you can actually put into Wireshark, like just an infinite amount it seems. But when we organize it by the layer, oh man, that the interface is much cleaner. So this is what I've got so far. I don't have a ton yet, and that's what I would like to do tonight, is add some more in there. Let's go to layer 2. We got a drop down. We've got ARP and we've got broadcasts, and these are just filters. So we filter on ARP. It's going to bring out all of the ARP traffic. Now this is really good because it can show broadcasts that are coming across the network, and it's just in general, I like to look at ARP and see what can we learn about the particular networks that are in here. Right, and then you got some more information over here. Let's look at broadcasts, and then it's just a general broadcast. Okay, what's happening out there? Go to layer 3. I've got IP header length greater than 20. So I believe the average, the standard size for a header length is 20. So this would catch anything that is beyond that, which would be useful. Nothing shows up. That means that there's nothing bigger than 20. Okay, so let's go through a couple other ones. I'm not necessarily going to go through every single filter because that wouldn't be very interesting. But I am going to show a couple that I thought were super interesting. So we have other IP ones, large pings. I don't know if I'll get any off that one. There you go. So I got some large pings that showed up here in our traffic. Let's go and take a peek at another one here. Layer 3. Layer 4 is where the interesting stuff happens. This is where we get transmission control protocol, which is my favorite protocol. It's got so much happening in it. Now I found we've got no flags, which is pretty straightforward. In TCP, we have the flags set. It's used to start a connection, close a connection, push. So if nothing is set, I mean it's going to be empty. That's what the filter would look like. TCP flags, empty. We want this one. This one was really interesting, and I was pretty stoked when I found it. It is the full three-way handshake, and what it does is it grabs that SYN, SYN-ACK, and ACK, and it grabs the SYN, SYN-ACK, and ACK, and just that's all it grabs. So let's take a peek at YouTube main. Let's do a little zoom in actually. Okay, good. We see over here on the right side, let's make sure we can see that. Not as much. That's better. Let's look at right here, packet 57. We got a SYN, and the next one down is a SYN-ACK and ACK. And then packet 73, we have a SYN, SYN-ACK, ACK, and it continues on SYN, SYN-ACK, ACK, SYN, SYN-ACK, ACK. And these are all of the three-way handshakes that are happening inside of this capture, which is great. And the reason that I get excited about seeing awesome filters like this is because that three-way handshake it really is the beginning of some kind of communication or some kind of connection between a machine and another machine, a client and a server. And so this could be just a unique interaction, but if we look at the IP addresses here, we've got a class A talking to 210, then we've got that same machine talking to an 82, then back to the 210, then we got it talking to an 186, then talking to another 210 again. So it's communicating with a lot of machines. So that was a great filter. I was really happy to find that one. Yes. So my plan is to here. I'm gonna give that a heart. My plan is to once I've finished off the MEG, I'm actually going to post it on GitHub, and then everybody can have access to it. And I want it to be something that's useful, and then you can have it. So that'd be great. Let's look at TCP again. No, we got that. Then we have layer 7, and I saw a bunch of profiles that had web type things, and that's good. I mean, I'd like to know when there's web traffic happening in a capture, and I'd like to know if there are things about that web traffic that are bad. Okay, so but they're very individual. So I'm slotting those into layer 7 so that I can have a more effective drop down. I'm actually going to show you in this particular live stream how to do the drop down so that you yourself, if you want to modify the MEG or you want to make your own profile, can do drop downs. Super efficient. Let's highlight a couple of fun things that are in our layer 7 here. We got HTTP requests. I mean, that's always quite useful. I'll click on that. And this brings back literally anytime that we have a protocol of HTTP and the request being made to that server. And in this particular case, if we look over at the top right again, we can actually see that we have an executable that is being requested. Okay, and in this case, I believe that in this particular botnet capture that this actually is the executable that's bad. So that's quite interesting. There's a lot of HTTP traffic in this 20,000 sized PCAP, 2.4%. Still a big amount. Layer 7, got DHCP, DNS. I have a one that was actually quite interesting. We have a DNS exfiltration. Top left. It's nothing in this particular capture, but it's just dns.txt. So that would show if somebody's actually able to acquire a text file with DNS. So all part of the MEG. It might not be useful right now, but for analysis, it's going to be good to have a grab bag of things that I can throw at it. Let's go to web. Now this is one that I made actually, risky HTTP methods. And so this one is anytime we see an HTTP method with a put, a post, or delete. So that would be those moments where it literally is the name here, where we are putting something or we're posting, or we are able to actually delete something. Okay, normally, for the most part, we're using that get method. So that's a very common, and these are common too. But wouldn't you like to know when your users are accessing websites and they're using the delete method? That seems like something I'd want to know. So this is a really good filter for that particular activity. Windows, I have a couple that are interesting. I'd like to fill this one out a bit more. I have a Kerberos one, but there's no Kerberos activity in this particular capture. But there's the string. There's the filter for that. And geo, I thought this was actually quite interesting. You can filter by a lot of countries, and I found ones that had Russia and China, and there's no real particular reason why I would have those, but it is actually, I think, kind of interesting to filter traffic based on the destination, if it's going out to a particular nation or coming from a particular nation. That could be really useful. I do know that look, there's Russia. I do know that actually you can set inside a ton of routers. In pfSense, I do a lot of pfSense work. You could restrict in some of that software the restriction of having internal users not go out to certain websites that are potentially located in different nations. That's a business call for that administrator, and that's fine. Geo, let's keep going. Let's talk about signatures. This one I find is really interesting. Signatures, HTTP file transfers. That would be quite literally, do you see the other files being transferred? Let's do that one. Beautiful. Top left. Look at the traffic that we've got right here. I'm going to do a different one. We've got bid pennies for gold. Don't go to these websites. This is actual botnet traffic, so you've been warned. But here we are getting these files, so we are actually pulling these down. So that would be something that I'd want to dig into a lot better if I was going to be doing a sort of analysis for security. Let's go to, we can filter all kinds of things. Like I've got a Go Buster in here. I've got a Go Buster. I'm looking for exes with a zip. Password. That one's pretty straightforward. But if you look at password, it's really just looking for anything that matches these things. We've got password with the WD, password. Great. I'll throw up another one here. You can do the exact same thing with this password with login. This one here, Nmap Stealth, that one's quite interesting. There's no stealth scan happening in this. So that stealth scan is that the SS, that little s, big S. It's just the default Nmap. I would like to test this out. I'm not going to do that tonight because I want to actually pull out some good information for the MEG. Then we got Apache servers. That'd be interesting as well. Oh, look. And so in this particular case, we're actually interacting with 41 Apache servers. Interesting. Okay. So those are the buttons. We've looked at buttons for the MEG. Let's take a look at coloring rules. That's a little bit more. I mean, it's all just filters. It's just looking for stuff, but it can be kind of overwhelming. So let's go over to our view and slide on down to coloring rules. And so some of these are ones that I made myself, and then some of them are actually ones that I've grabbed from a couple other profiles. Now in Wireshark, it's very common to have something called the butt ugly rule. And if you talk with anybody in networking and they talk about Wireshark, you will hear people mention the butt ugly rule. Now the thing is, if you have too many butt ugly rules, they get a little hard to spot. Right? It's supposed to be something that you've set as a filter, and if anything ever matches that, it just sort of jumps out at you. It's like, whoa, there's that butt ugly rule. And so I made a butt ugly rule, and now the more I look at it, the more I think, man, that's not butt ugly. That's actually not that bad. But a very common thing. I don't know if you can see this good enough, but it's a Xmas. So that is TCP flags or a TCP packet that has fin, push, and urge set. That's not a typical combination, and if that gets sent in this capture, when comes across my network, I'm going to have a pink background with a bright red letters. Okay, so it will like jump right out at you, and that's what you want. Um, let's scroll down. I'm not going to go through what every single filter means. Okay, when I post the MEG, you can have it and then go through it yourself and analyze it. This is the best way to learn Wireshark, by the way, is just like screwing around with network traffic and seeing what does that thing do. That's how I learned Wireshark. It was just mucking about for hours upon hours upon hours upon hours. Let's scroll down to a few. Everything down here, I did grab from other profiles. So I've sort of landed on the theme of having a white background and then choosing different colors for what it's alerting on. So I've got a SIP status with a code that is greater than and equal to 500. I've got another one, SIP for under 400, right? Maybe there's something unique with that code. I want to be able to have it jump out at me. MySQL, right? There's another one there. FTP response code, that would be useful to know. Like if a user is, that's right, just don't do that. Especially in front of students, okay? Uh, FTP would be useful to know if you're watching for particular codes and you've got users on the internal network that are calling out to a server on the internet and they're getting a deny or a failed connection. And so that should be an alert for an administrator to be like, hold on a second, there's somebody inside here trying to connect and failing to a server. So that you would look at the IP address and the MAC address, and hopefully you've got good asset management so you can actually go in there and be like, yo, what's going on? And if there's nobody at the desk and that machine is logging, connecting out, that's a problem too. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but know that I didn't invent these things. I pulled it because I looked at another profile. What else? So we've got the buttons, we've got the coloring rules, and also the thing that you can actually manipulate a lot inside of your Wireshark here. Let's change the view. Is the columns here? Okay, so this is quite useful. So I personally, this is my preference, is that I like to have the number. So I like to know what's the number of that packet. Protocol next. I like to have the source IP, the source port, destination IP, destination port. So that would this right here is saying this is the from, and over here is the destination. This is the going to. I have found having host as a column extremely useful. Let's see if we can kill that current filter, and then right away we can see one showing up right here. That's the wherever that is. So the person in this private network accessed this location and got or get the whatever that executable is. Super useful. I could add this to a domain blacklist. Okay, I wonder if there's any other ones quick. Google. Any others that jump out? No, whatever. But it's quite useful. Right, let's go to, and then cumulative bytes. I pondered on this one, and this is a column that I've actually recently added because it actually is quite handy to know, especially when you're looking at it in a whole conversation, how many bytes have actually been sent at this point. Like, is there a lot of data that's being transferred between machine one and machine two? So we could use cumulative bytes to do that. And another column that I like to do for everything is info. I mean, it will tell you a ton of stuff. Let's jump over to that TCP one really quick. And then over in info, this is often when I'm looking for a three-way handshake, I will fly over to the info part and look for the sin ack, and it's right there, like that. It's like standing out right there. And so that's what we have for the MEG. So now I'm gonna go to a couple profiles here that I actually pull stuff from. And so now I'm gonna give kudos to a fellow YouTuber. It's a great channel. I highly recommend that you visit his channel. I'll type it in the chat here. Chris Greer. He does a great stuff with Wireshark. I find his videos inspiring because I enjoy Wireshark so much. He has a profile, and so let's take a look at his profile, and I'm going to tell you some of the things that I grabbed from it. Okay, so this is the one that Chris Greer made, and there's a piece on here and that I really like, and I'm guessing patting myself on the back a little bit because he's actually the MEG for especially for the list pane is very similar to Chris. We've got number of packet time. I have time as well, but I don't keep it turned on. I just sort of like click it off. It's useful, but I don't need it up on all the time. Source IP, source port, destination IP, destination port, protocol. So he likes to have protocol at that point. I mean, whatever. I like mine all the way to the left, whatever. He's got length of packets, so that would be the biggest difference between his list pane and my list pane. He's also turned on, and this is something you could do yourself as well. Wireshark has a database of known ports, and it will have names associated with those ports. So if you see like a 21, right, that's going to be FTP. If we look over here, I've got a 53 here. That's DNS, right? So it names it. So he likes to have that protocol named right away, and I guess that's just preference. Because so for me, and for him too, but when I look at a Wireshark capture and I see port 80, I just have a list of them memorized, so I can sort of spot it. But there's other ones that are obscure, like I have no 5782. I don't know what that is, and that's okay. Yeah, let's go and look at the piece that makes him really different. Is his buttons on the top right over here. Okay, so he's got TCP. This is his security profile. He has a regular networking one, and so these would be security themed things. Okay, so he's got no flags, so I pulled that one. Xmas, I already had that one. He's got another combination, fin push urge, which is Xmas but just a different order. Bad TCP, SYN only, SYN with options. Let's look at SYN only. It's going to come back with something. I've actually debated adding this particular one to the MEG. I'm not 100% sure what it's for. But there you go. It's TCP completeness. This would be a SYN only. TCP SYN only. So perhaps this is a communication where a SYN went out, but nothing came back. That's how I interpret it. I'm going to add that to my learning, so I want to actually go and study that. But I'm actually going to add that here. So I'm going to copy that. Here we are. We got our first grab for the MEG. I'm going to throw that into TCP. And let's go and actually look at something together. Top right. I'm going to right click on the buttons. I'm going to filter button press. So right away, I'm actually going to show you how you can do the drop down buttons. Okay, hopefully you can see that okay. It's a little daunting, but as you can see in the screen here, how I had like a layer 7. So I've got L7 / HTTP / HTTP _response. So that's how we do dropdown. We do a name, and if you want to do more inside of that dropdown, you would have the exact same. So L7 L7. I'm dealing with a TCP, so I want to do a layer 4. So let's do that. Excuse me. I'm going to duplicate that. So select the filter that you want, and then at the bottom here, there's a little box in the box, and you hit duplicate for that. And it brings it all the way down to the bottom. So maybe you can see that. Hopefully you can see that. It's at the bottom. I'm going to change the value of that to SYN only, like lowercase. And then add whatever the filter is. Comments are good. SYN only. And then I personally feel it should match. It should be up in the same zone. So let's bump this bad boy up here. There we go. And hit OK. Let's check it. Let's check if it's in there. SYN only. Oh, there we go. So the MEG now has that feature. Let's jump back to Chris Greer's. And he has TCP in here. What does open ports do? Let's see that one. Well, that's not going to come back with anything. And I'll show you why. If we look at his capture here, it would be, oh, but actually that's quite useful. So this would be, I should steal this one too. This would be looking for SYN ACK. So we have the SYN here, and we have an ACK, and going to a particular IP address. So what does he call that one? This is useful. I think he even called it open ports. That really is what it is. In that three-way handshake, we've got the three-way handshake. We've got the SYN ACK, and the ACK, and the SYN ACK. When we receive that, it shows us that we've got a open port. So I'm gonna snag this. He's got just a random IP address in here. For our purposes, we would put that filter in there and then put the IP address that we want. So I'm actually going to snag that one as well. That's a useful one. Jump back to the MEG. I'll right click this. And I'm going to duplicate another layer 4 here. Open ports. And then I'm going to bump that up the other layer 4s. Beautiful. Awesome. Also, I want to say thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate it, and I'm glad you're here. Hopefully you're finding this informative. I really enjoy Wireshark, so going through this is fun for me. I was doing this work the other night because I was like, oh, I could make a YouTube video on this, and I had them all, and I'm like, I could just stream this. Like this actually, then people can sort of see a little bit of my process. This is the process. Oh, I like that. pull that. Oh, I like that. Pull that, and then you're good to go. All right, let's jump over. What else has Chris got here? We got pings. So that I grabbed large pings from his buttons here. OS fingerprint can be useful if you look over at what that filter looks like. I have grabbed that one as well, and it doesn't show anything in this particular botnet. Whatever. I might have a different capture that it will show something, but it's there. Countries. This is where I got it was from Chris's profile here that I grabbed Russia. We also have China, Indonesia. I mean, like, it doesn't really matter where it is. Just have that filter and throw the name in there, and you're golden. I found not United States to be actually kind of an interesting one. I think I grabbed that one as well. So it says IP and not United States. So that shows everything that's just not United States. That one seems self-explanatory. Oh, okay. Hey, interesting stream. I'm putting together a Proxmox box. That's just fun to say. Proxmox box. And waiting for the install. So there you go. You could use this, all of this Wireshark stuff, with your setup to like monitor and to check the kind of traffic that's going through. This would be perfect for a home lab. Okay, hiring managers love to hear you talk about a home lab. They love it. I love it too. I think everybody should. I think everybody should have a home lab. So much fun. Okay, so Chris had a ton of signatures, and I did grab a bunch of these. I did not grab all of them, and I might go back and snag some more, but inbound, so that'd be stuff coming in. Password, I stole that one. EXEs, I stole that one. Server names, I did not. What else did I grab for sure? HTTP file transfers, I like that one. GoBuster, I thought was interesting. SYN, no options, I did not do that. He has a log4j, but it does not work. It goes red. And so I might poke around and try to solve that, but I'm not that invested in figuring that one out. It would be kind of interesting to have, but whatever. Let's jump over. So I did grab a few of those user agents. This one's really interesting. Old Mozilla. So this would be quite literally looking for sort of a signature that matches Mozilla, and then just an older version. And in this capture, we've got 477 that match it. So maybe this was I don't know. I'll speculate, but potentially there was a bot that had a user agent set as an older version for some reason and is calling out. And you can see that's going to port 80. So it's this machine here calling out to that server there on port 80. We're still in Chris's, and then getting that that vulnerable or potentially bad exe. Oh, you can't even see it. Sorry. Boom. There it is, right there. User agents. He only has old Mozilla. I added a couple other ones like Apache server. I think I snagged from somebody else. Let's go to naming. So that one, there's a Kerberos. I did snag that one. There's no Kerberos traffic in this. Strange domain. This one is still in that vein of looking for countries. So if you see up in the top left here, we've got RU. I don't know what CN is. JP, I'm assuming Japan, and then UK. So why are we going there? That's what we'd want we'd want to know from our users. Let's jump over to the right again. And then he's got malware of a trick bot. And there's nothing in here. So I'm not sure if I'll steal that one. Malware is a tricky thing to put in Wireshark. Um, it's still useful, and maybe I'll have a button for malware, but I'm not convinced yet that I want the MEG. I'm not convinced yet that I want the MEG to have malware in there. Although the MEG is a giant shark, so malware does kind of make sense. Okay, thank you. Now I know. Appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, let's go back. Let's fly over to his coloring rules. Now these aren't. You might recognize some of the stuff in here. So I actually grabbed all of his coloring rules. He had some ones that I already had, um, but there were some other ones like I didn't think about these codes, and so if they're good enough for him, they're good enough for the MEG. So boom, they're in there. What do we got? Anything good in here? I actually noticed that his bookmarks here are there's a couple good ones. I don't know if these are like standard, but this one right here, you probably can't see that one very good. Let's see if we can get a better view. Top left. What do we got? No, you can't see it. I'll jump up a bit. Give me a second here while I show this here. I actually like this one here, this non-DNS port. So is DNS happening on something that isn't 53? Let's snag that. Oh, we actually did get some stuff here. That's good. I don't know. It's saying it's got the exclamation mark and it's got in brackets and saying not UDP port 53 and not TCP port 53 or that. So that would be quite a bit of traffic. I don't like it. It's out. It's not in the MEG. Okay. I think that's everything from Chris's. I actually did a fair bit of work on this beforehand. Let's jump over to one called Deep Space Networking. Now, there's another big YouTuber or person in the Wireshark world, and her name is Laura Chappell. If you're interested in Wireshark, you have probably watched her videos. Okay, highly recommend watching it. If you go with a history of her channel, that she has kind of stopped making videos, but when she was doing videos, they were really good, quite enjoyable, but and very like verbose. And I learned a ton of stuff from her. But I'm not a fan of this profile. All right, well, let's look at some of the things. Let's see if we can grab anything of value here. Let's see if we can zoom in. So we've got. Well, there's got to be a better way for that. She got columns, number, source. Looks like source MAC, destination MAC. Well, I'm not a fan of that combo. Protocol. Got the length. That's what Chris Greer had. Stream index. That would be somewhat useful to know like which particular conversation it's a part of. But I mean, I've never personally needed to do that, so I'm not going to add that. We've got packet type, ACK length, segment length. These would be very network heavy. These wouldn't necessarily be security related, but you got to keep in mind that networking and security they go hand in hand. So like normal network traffic is important for security because it's the baseline that security is going to be looking at. So how do we get a baseline? We have to understand what is the normal here. Let's see if you can see other things here. Top right. So I have a last block. I got reporting node. I'm gonna quickly. So in this capture here is a botnet traffic, and you can see a big gap here. So really, nothing's really showing up in these ones. Now for me, this is a personal preference, and this is how I'm going to design the MEG. Is that I don't like columns that are empty for a long period of time. Ugh. Just seems like a waste of space, because you really do have to maximize what you're looking at. Okay, so I'm not going to add any of those columns. Let's jump back to the top. And show the info. That's pretty standard. Top right. We have relay conversation. Oh, relay conversation. Okay, that's good. Let's look at the filter. TCP stream 0 or TCP stream 1. So I mean, what this is looking for, it would be the beginning of a stream. Stream being a TCP element of TCP, a back and forth. So we have, look over at the right here. We've got the SYN, SYN-ACK, and ACK. I mean, I can sort of see the value of this filter, but the MEG also has a filter for all the three-way handshakes, so I'm actually not going to add this filter. I don't think it's going to be incredibly useful. Top right. Bundle. I don't even know what that one is. This is the filter. Bundle. I don't know what that is. So clearly it's not showing up either. I might look into that later, but it's out. TCP CL, not showing up. Confirm. What is that? The value of using like a real malware type file, like this is actual botnet traffic, is that when you're testing filters against it, there's a higher probability that you're going to validate that filter. If I just did this on my network, it might not show anything like what it's showing right now. So I'm not convinced. I mean, I might make a list of things. There you go. Subscribe. Boom. Let's fix that. That was a plug. I'm sorry. No. Okay. I want to actually grab this filter here to see what does this filter do. It's okay not to know things. That's what we gotta be okay with. We're all just learning. I don't know what that is. I'd like to know what it is. Maybe it's got some kind of value for me. We can make the MEG stronger. Okay, let's jump to another profile. This is good. We've done only 2 filters, and we're on 50 minutes. I gotta say, thank you so much for sticking around. I love having people. I'm really enjoying YouTube, so thank you. Boom. Let's jump to this one here. So I had a student that shared this profile with me. They had grabbed it off the internet. And in the description, I'm going to share where I download this. I just don't have it in the description yet. So once this stream is done, I'll post that, and it'll be in the description. as along with Chris Greer's GitHub where he has it, so you can download that. Um, and I believe Laura Chappell's. I'll post everything, but it'll be in the description. I just don't have it yet. Anyways, this one's a little intense, and in my opinion, a little too intense. It's not the MEG. Okay, the MEG is going to be a giant shark here, but it's also going to be an efficient shark. Um, right away, things that are jumping out at me in this profile is that they've actually done a lot of like color changing. For case in point, I'm at packet 1 here. Take a look at the colors. Let's jump over to default. Oh, boring. Right? That's a little boring. I agree. Let's jump over the MEG. I haven't done a ton of color change in the MEG. Oh, boring. Maybe that's what we should do. Not tonight, though. I'll go and make these all kinds of fun colors. Or maybe I won't. I've actually become accustomed to this boring palette of colors. So I see this color, I'm like, oh, I know that's ICMP. Oh, that weird brown color, that's ARP. But I guess I changed TCP to be green. Whatever. Let's jump over to that other one here. Okay. Do they have any? Whoa. Whoa. Oh man, this person has a lot of bookmarks. They're very thorough. Am I going to sit through all of these? I will quickly go through them to see if there's any of merit. I know people are going to drop off. Oh, he's going to go through all of those bookmarks. No, um, I'm not, because I'm pretty sure that some of these aren't going to be super duper important. Although, if you take a look at this one, oh yeah, I believe this is the three-way handshake one. Yeah. Again, the coloring is a little weird. Not a fan of that coloring scheme. But this is where I got the three-way handshake, where it grabs all of them. So I like that. TCP flags equal to window update, flags reset. These would be all resets. So now, some people will say, well, you should put that as a filter, but there are some things as a user for Wireshark or just general network analysis that you just do naturally. So like if I wanted to search for, I really hate these colors. Oh, where's the IP address in this? Well, it doesn't have. There's no IP address in this list pane, and that's not okay. You should have the IP address. That should be a standard in that. A critique. There are quite a few just columns that are just hanging out. Not my favorite. And in fact, I am not going to grab any of them. Although I did grab, and you might be able to see it better now, cumulative bytes. Their name isn't the greatest, but I had to Google it. Like, what are they talking about? But it's cumulative bytes. So actually, I did steal that column because I found there was actual value in it. But it's a little massive for my taste. Let's look at some of the drop downs that he's got here. This is actually where I learned how to do drop downs, because I saw this filter. I'm like, oh my goodness, I need that. That would be great. So let's pick handshake with no data. That's interesting. I'll be honest. I'm not totally sure what these numbers are for. So let's put that in our learning section. What was that one called? Handshake with no data. What do the numbers mean? The completeness one, we did have that one, but this looks like we've grabbed some data here where we've got the handshake. I mean, it's right in the name. Where are you? Handshake with no data. So a connection is made, but then no data is happening after that. Wireshark has become the new addiction. That's awesome. Sorry, I'm late to reading that. No, that's good. I'm glad that you're enjoying this tool. It's been around a long time, which is wild. Uh, I'm going to steal this filter because it is working and it is showing something good. I would like to know in the MEG when a handshake has happened and there's no data. Let's jump over to the MEG and we're going to add this filter. Layer 4. Yep. Duplicate. So this one's called handshake no data. Bump that up. And hit OK. I like to test to see if it's there. Layer 4, TCP. Handshake no data. You know, I gotta say, folks, the coloring for the MEG right on this one, beautiful. Compare it to this one. Whoa. Whoa. It's hard. And I think the columns are contributing to the difficulty at looking at this. Okay. Let's go to the top right here. They were using L2. This is where I got the layer names from. So we are ARP, STP, L2 broadcasts. That one, I also stole that one. OUI, so that would be looking for like a Cisco or HP. Let's test it out. Let's do HP. Oh, interesting. Here, let's look at the filter here, folks. This is Ethernet address resolved contains Hewlett. This actually could be quite a useful filter because you could just change that name of Hewlett to whatever you want. Although I don't think that I'm going to steal that one because inside of actually statistics and endpoints, you can do name resolution and see how it changed the values here. So I'm not going to add that filter because endpoints has a functionality that works good. So by the way, this is probably the most like boring looking window, but it's my go-to whenever I get a new capture. Endpoints. In fact, I finished editing a video all about endpoints, and then you can actually do maps and stuff. I'm not gonna do it right now. You gotta watch the video. All right. Let's jump over here, top right. Layer 3, this is IP addresses, or the network layer. IPv, this one is kind of a useless filter. I'll show you why. Oh, I need to do this. It's just not super useful. You're just filtering on IP. That's all it does. So that one, not going in the MEG. Not entirely helpful. So I'm not sure why that one is in there. IPv4 fragments, same country. Time to live, less than 8. That could be useful. So remember, time to live is a functionality of the network layer, and so when a packet is coming in, IP address will drop down the time to live by 1, so that that packet just doesn't exist forever. As it's traversing and going through different networks, it will gradually die because the time to live lowers. And this could be one. This 8 is a small time to live. I'm debating. I'm not confident that I want that one. There we go. So I'll save that one. I'm not sure I want it. Let's go to coloring rules. View coloring rules. So we've reached the hour mark. So way to go! If you're still here, good job. I appreciate it. I'll probably go for a few more minutes here, and then I might take off. But let's look at some of the coloring rules for this particular one, and it's pretty. Look at all these beautiful colors. This kind of goes. Remember earlier in the stream I mentioned about the butt ugly rule, and if you have too many butt ugly rules, everything's just butt ugly, and it's just not as helpful. So you need to have some. I don't know if it's probably like standardization, like regular stuff. The MEG, I am building into it some standard stuff based on what Chris Greer had. Okay. I think that's everything I want. Well, no, there's a bunch here. Okay, let's give it a quick peek. Office 365. No, thanks. Some of these are pretty standard, like just TCP. Okay, well, here I'll show you how to search for just TCP. TCP. That's it. We don't need a button for that. We can just type that into the filter. Okay. Awesome. I don't think we need anything else from this. I've pulled what I need out of it. Let's go through another one. I'm feeling good. I'll show you how to. What I'll do right now is I'll actually show you how to add a profile. So when you eventually download the MEG, you can put this into your stuff. So right over here we've got profile. You right click on that and you go to manage profiles. It opens up a window, and then you can choose the profile that you want. So I'm building the MEG because I like it. So I would have that as my profile. Also, it's very important to back that up every once in a while. So after this stream, I'm going to back up the MEG so that we have got a backup. Let's go and import from a zip. Can we get this a little bit easier for you to see? So I've collected a bunch of them. one I'd like to do better default. Like, what does that mean? So let's pick that one. One used, bottom right. I'm going to choose this guy here, better default. Ooh, interesting. I don't know about better yet, but interesting. Some people like, I'm looking at the bottom right here. So we've got list, we've got details, we've got the bytes window. Some people like to look at the headers in this way. So when you click on the destination, it'll show, like, that's literally that's in that packet, in that header. This is the amount of bits that are associated with that particular piece of data. I appreciate how it looks. I personally prefer just the hex. Just give me the hex. Because also in the hex, that's where you're going to be able to quickly see clear text stuff. So I don't have that option in here. I don't think so. So it's not going in the MEG. It is nice looking though. Let's go and take a peek, see if there's any bookmarks of use. Yeah, well, the graph style is good, right? Because if you look at this, you like it better too? No. Fine. Go for it. Let's review how to change it so that you can do it on your own. Here, this shows you how often I do it. Edit. Preferences. I'm really pulling on this one. Layout. Okay. I'll go to zoom. For those folks, so for Ivan and the Crusader Gamer, this is how you would do what I did, what we were just looking at. So you go edit, go to preferences, and then you go to appearance. Wow. Am I feeling bold enough to change the font? No, it's too much change. I can't handle it. But there you go. You can change it right here. There you go. Bingo bango. Again, that was edit, preferences, and then to layout right there. Okay. Let's start with the columns. What do we got in here? I will say that the name of this one is better default. I should have taught you that with that one first. No, see, now you know my teaching style, where I do it the hard way, and then once you're accustomed to the hard way, then you're like, oh, I don't even need the easy way. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. All right. We've got time delta. That's useful. I've debated putting that as a column, but I haven't. Source. So this person here doesn't have the IP address either. So I'm not sure why they don't have that. Okay. VLAN ID would be useful if my primary use for this profile was going to be networking. Like, and it sounds like, well, this is a networking video, isn't it, Andrew? Well, yes, it's a networking video, but it's also a security focus. So, no, that one's not going in, and that's okay. Info, not much happening with the columns. I'm going to take a peek at these. The bookmarks are all standard. I think those are the default. But what is interesting is that we've got on the top right here, we have some interesting filters. Packet comment. So it is possible actually inside of Wireshark to actually add into a packet comments. And so this would be actually a fairly useful filter. But truth be told, if you're going to be an attacker and you're going to be sending out traffic that's not so hot, you're probably not going to be attaching labels to it. So while that's fun, it's not super useful. That's right. You got it. You got it. Let's look at pings, top right here. Pings, all echo requests and replies. Actually, that's not so bad. Ooh, I actually quite like that one. So this would be, you could just do like ICMP, but you could also change the type. So over here we've got 8, so that is the request, and then 0 would be, I believe that's the reply. I'm actually going to steal that one. Stolen. Let's go to the MEG. And we are going to add layer 3 over here. All ICMP requests and replies. Bingo bango. Oh, I gotta organize that better. You really gotta like choose where these things are gonna sit. Because if you just leave it wherever, it's gonna get messy. Especially now that we've got a fairly extensive drop down stuff going on. Let me put that up with the other layer 3s. Beautiful. All ICMP requests. Nice. Let's jump back to better default. Top right. All right, TCP. TCP just sends. I already have that one. Sin without options, sin no options. Oh. What is that? I don't know. TCP with options. Let's do a little bit of this. So that might be a good filter to add. I'm not sure yet. So we'll make note of it. Top right here, ICMP. Any ICMP. What does that look like? Ooh. I gotta say, I'm a fan of this coloring scheme. ICMP v6. Okay. Forgive me, but I'm gonna go in here and grab the pumpkin coloring for this one here. What do we got? What do we got? ICMP is dark orange. I don't know. The original is pink, and I'm so used to that. You know what? I think the MEG needs a new coloring scheme. Here we go. So there's what the MEG currently has. So it would be pink. Let's go view, coloring rules, ICMP, background, hideous orange. I like it. We should do destination unreachable. Let's change it too. Da, 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 unreachable. So I bet it's that one. What did they change? It was black, and then the font was orange. Ooh, that's good. The MEG just took a step up, didn't it? I agree. Thank you. Let's jump over to that one. See what this is fun. Like we're taking stuff from other captures that I think work good, and then add it into this thing that we're making together. Okay, this is a big folder. I'll just botnet. Okay, they had time here. Top right. The MEG just got introduced to pumpkin spice. Yes, I feel like this is an opportunity for some AI image generation. You know what I mean? I think I feel like the challenge is out there now. Here, I'm gonna make a note. This is happening. Andrew, don't forget to do a shark picture that also includes pumpkin spice in some way. It's done. Okay. All right. We're doing pretty good. Any ICMP? No. ICMP ping. So we got that one. We're good with that. Redirects. Ooh. This is a good one. I'm confident that I already have this set up, but this is actually a really useful filter. You should include this filter in your profile, because the value of it is that it's looking for numbers within a certain range, but HTTP codes, depending on what you get, they're going to do something different. Okay, and if you're being redirected, it means that you've gone to a location and HTTP says, well, you know what? Hold on a second. We're going to redirect you over here. And this would be really handy with um, like bug bounty stuff would be helpful for this. Oftentimes you can use, if you get a redirect, like a 301, you can actually modify the HTTP header to don't redirect me, just give me a 200 code, which is you're okay. You can go on this website. Um, I already have that filter though, so we're good. I see ICMP type 5. ICMP redirect. I don't know if that's any good. Meaning value in having. I don't know. Okay, top right. Let's look at errors. Oh, this is interesting. We've got DNS flags, HTTP response code greater than 399, SMB, SMB2. Looks like in this particular botnet traffic, we only have HTTP errors. But I can actually see the value in having all of these listed out. Well, this seems like a sketch website. Let's quickly get off this website. Errors. I think I'm actually gonna throw that into the MEG. I think there's some value in that. But does it need to be a button? I'm not sure if it needs to be a whole button. Oh, we didn't grab the whole thing. Let's jump back. And we didn't grab the whole string of this. At least I thought I did. It's loading. Oh, it's going slow. Okay. Copy that. Jump back to the MEG. We're going to manage display filters. There you go, error codes. There you go. I'm gonna store in the bookmarks the things that they're good, but I don't really need it to be a whole button that I go to. So there you go. Let's go back to the better default. It's loading right now. Right. Okay. Errors, frame contains. General. Here, take a look at this. Frame contains cell stream. So the only value of this is that you could put whatever string or whatever words you want in there. I've already got one that does a password and a login, so not going to be super useful for us for the MEG. And then domain. Here's another filter here. This one is just a frame contains, or it's a server name Google. It's actually not super useful. We're gonna use Google and stuff, but you know what? I don't need a whole button dedicated, or even a filter. There's one here that looks particularly interesting. You can't see it right now, so I'll fly over there, but it's called "Have I Been Scanned?" I don't know. Oh. All right, this seems interesting. Let's see what it is. Let's see what it looks like. Well, let me rub my eyes as I try to absorb this absolutely massive filter here. So right away we have an ARP OR, and so it kind of, I can see what they're doing, because when we do a network scan, you're going to have ARP traffic. But this is a lot of ARP traffic, and potentially not really that useful. Is anything good happening here? 2.2, 2.29. No, I don't think so. And if we look over here, and you'd have to go, honestly, in order to make this filter useful, you would have to go in and modify each of these spots. And honestly, there is some much faster ways to determine if a network scan is happening without having a monstrous filter. So it's not going into the MEG. I have videos on the channel that showcase how to do, or rather how to check if you're being scanned, like stealth scan, TCP, connect scan. I mean, if you got other scans like a Christmas scan, that one's very easy to see, especially if you've got a butt ugly rule, like the MEG does. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Do we have time for one more? Let's look at. Let's do one more very quickly. I actually have already taken a peek at this one, so it will be fast. And then after that, we'll wrap it up. But TCP plane. This is another Chris Greer, I believe, or is it? This is another Chris Greer profile, and you can tell because it's got some of the same stuff that his other one has, where we've got the number, the time, delta, source, destination, protocol. Notice that he has the IP addresses in here. It's important. What's the point of Wireshark if you don't have the IP addresses mentioned? I don't know. Top right. Let's look at his buttons here. TCP connect. These would be very network specific, not necessarily security specific, but I'm curious what he's got for the full handshake. Yikes, get back there. Full handshake. Does it look like the MEG already? Where do we got the, I don't know if I like that. I like the MEG version. I like the MEG version more. Let's go to the top right here. TCP connect. Retransmissions. This can be useful. Retransmissions are more common with when you're working with like network stability or effectiveness, not necessarily for security. So while that's a useful filter, I don't feel like it's relevant to the MEG. That's okay. Let's go through anything else here. TCP flags. No, not helpful. We can do TCP flag type analysis ourselves by just looking at the header itself, transmission, control protocol, go to the flag, bingo bango, and then we've got the flag set. Remember, we got the flags here. We got urge, act, push, reset, SYN, fin, UAP, RSF, and over here on the SYN, that's where the 1 is set. So while that's useful, I don't think that's going to be my main shtick here. Slow stuff. Slow HTTP. So what would cause? So yeah, that's a slow one. If you look over here, there's a big number there, and so you would be curious to know like what is causing that. The source coming in is a really weird IP address. That might be useful to do like a geo lookup on that one. Maybe that's like on the other side of the planet. From looking at this, I don't know what 5.9.61.148 is. You can go to robtex.com and it can do the same thing. You can look it up for you, but I don't feel like that's going to be useful for our purposes. Right. Broadcast. No broadcast. Any IP address. IP broadcast. Doesn't work. TCP stream. What does that do? It's good enough for Chris Greer. It's good enough for me. Specific. Okay. We're almost there, folks. Thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate it. Multi-port. No, I don't want it. Signatures. Ooh, okay. Let's see what this one does for us. Nmap stealth. Okay. So in the previous one, it had "Have I been scanned?" And remember, it was that absolutely massive string. Let's take a look at this one. It's a little cleaner. I would love to have this inside in the MEG. However, I am not confident that it'll work. I know what that one does, but we gotta check if it will work or not. Okay, signatures, slow DNS, UK traffic. Okay, there you go. Let's go jump back to the MEG. All right. Awesome. You know, tonight we have done a ton of work. We hung out for an hour and a half, longest stream I've ever done. I had a ton of fun, and I'm really glad that I didn't just do this as a video and that I did it as a stream. I would love to actually, now that I say it, do this stream like this again and keep making the MEG stronger and better. So I think I'm gonna do it. So look at the channel soon to see any updates on the next stream, and we can make it better. And I'm open to ideas on things that you'd like to have streamed as well. Maybe I've been debating doing like a CTF building one. I think that would be interesting. Um, More Wireshark, I like it. I'm also interested in studying for like pen test plus, maybe to do cert preparation, um, and other things that are interesting in the security world. So with that, folks, I'm gonna sign off. Have a great evening. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll talk soon. See you, everybody.